Barcelona is a city filled with wonderful art, majestic architecture, beautiful natural spaces. And today we're going to focus on just one of them because there's so much. Park Güell. We're going to talk about the history, what it means, where it comes from. But first, this is Latina Literati. Park Güell was conceived by the renowned Catalan architect Antoni Gaudí. He was born in 1852 in the rural part south of Barcelona, studied architecture in Barcelona, and then quickly gained fame for his amazing ideas. His work is characterized by a mixture of Gothic, of Art Nouveau, of Catalan modernism, as well as a naturalist tendency, including natural forms in all his works. Antoni Gaudí's projects can be admired throughout Barcelona. His most well-known work, of course, is Sagrada Familia, that's still to be completed, but there are so many others. Casa Mila, Casa Bataló, there are so many other places, and he is the creator with the most UNESCO heritage sites to his name. So almost everything he touches becomes patrimony of humanity. Today we focus on Park Güell, perhaps his most expansive project. So Antoni Gaudí meets Eusebio Güell in London, and they quickly form a friendship and want to collaborate on a project together. The Güell family buys this entire side of a mountain with a concept of 60 homes for the privilege so that they can live outside the city. Remember, the city 150 years ago was not a very nice place. It was quite dirty. There was a lot of illness and not necessarily clean water. And so to live outside meant to live much healthier. And in fact, that whole area is called La Salud, which of course means health in Catalan. Güell gave Gaudí a free hand in his expression and the design of the homes. Only 3 homes were eventually constructed. One of them was for Gaudí and his father, who was quite ill, and his sister, and one for the Güell family and another family who did not want Gaudí to actually build it because it seems that he would change his mind throughout the process, and anyone who knows the process, when you change your mind in the middle of construction, the costs go through the roof. So he was very organic and very in the process, constantly changing. But in this park, he focuses on the Mediterranean, and he really focuses on planting native plants like the carob tree and the olive tree throughout. And he also looks for things like the organic shape of the palm tree to include in his beautiful walks and gardens. Gaudí was born in the countryside, and so he understood the need for us to be surrounded by nature. And so in this Park Güell that was originally envisioned as a development for 60 homes, everywhere there is nature. Nature is in all of the parkways, in all of the structures. Everywhere nature is reflected in its beautiful forms. Beautifully designed water collection and purification systems were set up. Amazing to think about this so long ago, and to ensure plentiful and clean water to the residents, because clean water was really important for health. They understood that, and so these residences would have access to plentiful water, clean water that was collected throughout the structures that were built by Gaudí. Park Güell began construction in 1900, and over the next 14 years, the park and the residences within it, the 3 that were eventually built, were completed. Again, focus on natural shapes, the use of gravity for different systems. It's a park that is just a marvel to visit. Highly recommend a guided tour so you can get a lot of the nuances and the organic shapes that just jump out at you everywhere. Gaudí said that design had to be intense, logical, and fertile. And I'm assuming fertile means coming from nature. As you sit in the famous Serpentine benches in one of the plazas, your back is perfectly supported. I mean, it's just a beautiful bench, and ergonomically it works. So all of these considerations for the planting of native trees, the collection of water, helped that this entire hillside was never affected by erosion in downpours that would happen every once in a while. Very well kept in terms of someone who understands how nature can keep us safe from natural disasters. Something to think about today. As you exit the park, there are two residences or small buildings on either side, and they were inspired by the popular opera at the time, Hansel and Gretel. So they're very bric-a-brac, very ornate, and I thought that was of interest as well. Gaudi had an imagination with no limits and wonderful abilities to show us how we can make beautiful things around us that work. Gaudi was very Catholic, and he spent the remainder of his life working on La Sagrada Familia. Incredibly, he died in a tragic accident on June 10th in 1926. He was hit by a streetcar. No one recognized him because he dressed so humbly. Eventually medical help came, but it was too late and he passed away. So there were so many projects that were yet to be thought of and completed. We will never know, but his legacy continues to inspire so many people and so many works that we continue to see today. And now for my favorite part of the video, the book recommendations. There are so many books on Park Güell and Antoni Gaudí that it would be impossible to include even 1% of them here, but I wanted to just give you some highlights. As the most prominent, perhaps most impactful architect of the 19th century, I think learning more about his inspirations is so important. And so the first book I want to recommend to you is called A Biography by Ignasi de Sola, and it goes into the depth into his life and to what inspired him and what formed him and all of the things that made up his early works as well as the final works. The second book I'd like to recommend is Gaudi, a biography book by Hansberger. And so Hansberger, what he does is he also looks to the inspirations, but has beautiful photos of his work, so you can really see the creation and the beauty and all of the art that Gaudi put into every one of his projects. Really recommend it. I think it's a great table book, and it's a wonderful coffee table book. It's a great thing to have at home. There's so many books that you can read about them, but these are just two that I wanted to recommend. And as always, check your local library, your local bookseller. We love them. We want to support them. Thank you so much for coming to the end of the video and this journey with us. We would love you to subscribe to Latina Literati, and we would love to hear from you. What are you reading? What do you think of Antoni Gaudí? Have you seen any of his works? We would love to hear from you in the comments. As always, con mucho cariño, mucho salud, mucho amor. Gracias.